moving forward.
And get started because I know your all's time is very valuable. I'm really excited today to be talking to you guys about MoxiPresent. I love seeing so many of you diving into all the various Moxie products, from your Moxie website to Moxie Engage. We haven't touched a lot on MoxiPresent, and I think it's one of the most important ones for you all and for your business. We're going to be going through, I'm going to show you guys how to get logged in if you haven't done that before, and then I'm going to give you a complete rundown of how to create a Moxie presentation, a listing presentation, and from start to finish on that. I think it's really important. A lot of times, I think we get in the mindset that we coast sometimes, or maybe you know the person that you're going in to do that listing presentation and you kind of take it easy. And I think if we always have the mindset every time that we're going to a listing presentation that we're competing, that there's somebody else that's also going to be giving that listing presentation, or after your listing presentation, maybe someone, they reach out to them and they're talking to another agent. And I think MoxiPresent gives you the ability to put your best foot forward and really showing them everything that you can do well, showing them everything that we can do as a company, and showing them an easy way to display all the research you've done for your CMA, your competitive market analysis. So I think it's a great tool. Today, we're going to be talking specifically about listing presentations. I did do a video a few months back about buyer presentations. So you can do a variety of different presentations in here. But today we're going to be focusing on listing presentations, but it's really the same process for any of them. But I do want to start back from the beginning on how to get into MoxiPresent if you've never done that before. Hopefully you all know how to log into CB Desk, okay, and you're familiar with this screen here. If you have not done that before, your username is your first name dot last name at coldwellbanker.com, and then your password in there. If you don't have that, you'll have to do a reset for that. But you have a variety of different tiles when you log into CB Desk, and you can move all these tiles around. So if you don't see MoxieWorks right here, it might be down towards the bottom. So you're going to click on MoxieWorks, and that's going to take you to a screen that looks just like this right here. Should be kind of your Moxie profile page. And then you have all these tabs across the top here. So you have Engage, like reference, your website where you would do all your website work, Impress for listing marketing materials, and then we have MoxiPresent. So you would click on MoxiPresent, and that's going to take you to your MoxiPresent home screen. Now, if you've never created a presentation before, yours will not look like this. It will just, it's probably just blank. There probably won't be any tiles at all. But this, as you build them out, you can see your past ones are saved. You can work from those, you can reference those. And we'll talk a little bit later, but I just want to touch on it. You're able to send these presentations to your clients ahead of time or after the presentation. With the buyer presentation, I was able to send that to my clients before we did a buyer tour so that they had the houses they're going to look at, and they were able to pull those up and reference them and make notes along the way. One key note to that is when let's say you do your listing presentation, you've done your CMA, and it's going to have actual listings inside these CMAs, those update live. So when if the client goes back and looks at that CMA that you gave them 2 weeks later, one of the active properties might be under contract, or under contract might have changed to sold. So know that your clients will see those properties you referenced and the changes that they made along the way. So that's something to keep in mind as you're doing that. Okay, so what we're going to do, we're going to go ahead and jump right in, and we're going to get started with creating a new presentation. And as we're going along, I have the chat up if you guys have any questions. If you guys just want to unmute, I love being, you guys being involved. It won't be necessarily meant for you to stay up with every step that we do, but if you have questions like how do I do that, or why are we doing that, that's perfectly fine. This is going to be recorded so that you guys will be able to go back and reference it. And when you're creating your presentations, you can go through and pause that video and watch as we're going along. So you should all have the blue button up here in the top right. This is where you go to create a new presentation. So we're going to click on that. And then the first thing you need to do is decide what type of presentation it's going to be. And I kind of talked about that a little bit. Today, we're going to do the seller presentation. So you would click on that, but just to touch on a few others. A property review. So you can create a presentation focusing on a specific property. So let's say you're representing a buyer and you guys have decided on a property they want to write on. you could do a review of that property, doing your own CMA so that you guys will be able to have the best, most well-informed offer for those clients. A buyer tour, this is the one that I was referencing that I did create a video on, which I think is really awesome. You're going to go see 4 properties that day. You can look those properties up, put them in order, put the times that you're going to meet at each property. And then it allows the clients to pull it up on their cell phones and to reference and put in notes as they're going along. And even on top of that, if let's say you had a husband and a wife, if the husband makes notes, the wife makes notes on their separate cell phones, you're going to see who made the notes. So that, as you know, it's a long process of buying a home. You're able to start analyzing, understanding what their needs and wants are as you're going through it. You can do just a specific buyer presentation, maybe your first time sitting down with your buyers, you can do that in here. And then you can honestly do a presentation for absolutely anything, as kind of like thinking of it like a PowerPoint or Google Slides. This non-listing down here could be whatever you want it to be. And also keeping in mind, and we'll talk about it, you can save any of these as templates so that you can use in the future, okay? I'm gonna be going through this, relatively quickly. I've already, kind of planned some stuff out ahead of time. So there's some stuff that you'll be doing, there'll be different legwork, but one big key is that you spend some time, you sit down and spend several hours cultivating and curating your listing presentation, the slides that you want to use, because ultimately what you want is you want your presentation to be ready so that if you get a call from a potential seller, you're able to get the CMA done and be ready to go present that, the next day. I mean, I guess sometimes we even have to do it within hours, but generally speaking, you want your presentation to be ready that you don't have to be learning your slides and doing that. You're ready to just get the comps ready, put them into MoxiPresent, and then go out the next day and be able to present that to them. So that's kind of the goal that you're thinking about. But to get to that point, it takes some time. It takes, and every one of these, I'm going to give you guys a template. The company has a template for you, but you might decide that a certain slide you don't want to present on, or you want to add in your own custom slides. And we're going to talk about those today also. So we're going to just click on seller presentation and we'll hit continue. And this is where you pick the template that you're going to use. Some of the slides, a few of the slides we have in here right now haven't been updated yet, but I know the marketing team is currently working on those. So those slides will be updated for you and they'll be dropped right in here for you. But the one that we're going to work on here is the CBE seller tour, horizontal for digital. There is a vertical one for printing purposes if you were just going to print it off. I recommend sticking with the horizontal and focusing on that. Printing a backup copy, you do have to have internet access when you're presenting these for your clients, just so that you guys know that. So most of us now have a hotspot on our phones that you're able to just kind of connect your laptop or your iPad to. But that would be as a backup if you weren't able to get that working. That would be one way for you to do that. So we choose this one and we're going to go to continue. And then you're going to type who is this for? You're going to put in your client's names. You can put in the address. Today, we're going to be doing this for Bruno Mars. I would love to be helping him sell his home. It wouldn't be the ones that are going to be our comps today, I don't think, but I know that would be fun. So we're going to put Bruno Mars in here.
24 karat.
24 karat gold.
Yeah.
All right. So it's going to process here and it's going to take us into the next spot here where we're going to select our subject property. So there's multiple ways that you can do this in here. You can go in. So let's say you don't, you're just going to go in, the address. We're usually going to do some research before we go in there. So you can pull up the tax records, all that type of stuff. But you're just going to start going through here and typing everything out. And you can see here, you can be as detailed as possible. Remember, the clients are going to see this. So the more detailed you are, showing how prepared you are as you're going through. So you can just scroll and see all the different stuff here. I'm going to show you a trick that I like. Most of the properties that you're going to list have been in the MLS before. Okay, not all of them, but if they are, I have it copied and pasted over here. We're going to be working in Idlewild today. What I've done is copied the MLS number and I'm going to paste that in here like this. And we're going to hit copy and you're going to see the magic that happens from that. Everything populates from that previous listing. The previous listing photo populates here. I know a lot of the managers recommend, I still think it's a good practice for you to go see the house, kind of do a drive-by, see what's going on. And sometimes people recommend taking a picture and putting your own photo in here. But this is just going to look really professional, showing that when they see the presentation that their picture is in here. But as you scroll down, you're going to want to double check the information, because what the risk that we're taking here is we're taking this information from the previous agent that put it in here. So you will want to double check it with the tax record, but generally speaking, it's going to be pretty accurate. But you can see here now all this information, the year built, everything has just been populated for us. If there's other things that you happen to know about the property, you can then add in here, you can change things out. One thing that you'll want to make a decision on whether you want to have included or not are the previous remarks. Okay, so again, this is from the previous listing from most likely a previous agent. So you either want to delete those out, change them, whatever, just know that that's going to be included in there if you don't do anything with it. It's going to show the previous list price, the previous sold price, current status, that type of stuff here, because it could be, well, we wouldn't be doing a listing presentation on an active property, but if it was one active, it would show here that it was active. And that would be a problem. So that's pretty simple for that. Okay, so we're going to go down here all the way to the bottom, and we're going to go to continue. And now there's a couple different ways here. So what we're starting off with essentially the CMA portion of this, because once you have we're going to talk about the slides in a little bit. Once you have those curated, you're going to have your template, you're going to have your slides set, that all you're really having to do is these first few steps each time. You import these in and you're done. So we have a couple different options. It's basing it off of our subject property, which is 1614 Wilcox. It's going to pull up properties that are around it that it thinks is kind of doing its own little magic in the background, bringing up properties, showing expired listings, solds, pending properties, active properties that all feel that are similar to your property. The way that I always do it, and the way that if you've been in the business that you're probably most used to doing, and I probably still recommend it as the best way, I would say this would be a question you'd want to ask to your brokers and see what their thoughts are, but is creating and getting all your comps from the MLS, from Bright MLS. It's going to be the most accurate. And what you'd want to do is get your comps and then save the MLS numbers. Okay. So there's a little button right here. So you have location. So you could kind of do your search and filter out your pricing in here and your beds and baths, and you can do that. But I like to do it the other way. So I'm going to do the MLS. And I'm going to bring in our subject properties. Okay, so we got another MLS number. I'm going to paste in here. You hit the search arrow, and boom, this property pops up, sold. You hit this, you guys see this little plus that pulls up here. I'm going to hit the plus. You can now see we have one listing added as a CMA. Okay, today I'm keeping it pretty short and simple. I'm just going to give us 3 comps. But generally speaking, this is not a CMA class, but you're going to want to have some pending properties in there. You're going to want to have some active properties that I always like to call the competition. But today I'm just going to have 3 closed properties for us, just for demonstration purposes. Drop in another MLS number, bring in 1201 Ellis, and I'll bring in a third. So now you can see we have 3 listings here. Any questions from anybody so far on any of the steps that we've had?
Hey, Jay.
Yes.
So this isn't like Cloud CMA where it automatically goes in there, right? There's no like button or anything that we can find it from the MLS to go in here.
That's correct. At this point, there's no button where you can click to connect to Cloud CMA. So that made it a little bit easier, but if you literally just what I have over here to the left that you guys can't see is I have like a Apple Note up, or you could do Google Keep or a Word document. And I just took those MLS numbers, copy, paste, copy, paste. So you're just going to be adding in a few copy and paste, but there's no, that I'm aware of, any auto sync over. Good question though.
Question. All right, Stafford, hi.
Hi.
Hi. Is there a way to add multiple listings at one time if I just, copy and paste multiple listings?
I could try that here for you. I'm not sure. Let's see real quick here. Let me go in.
Thank you.
No problem. we're gonna remove. We're going to remove those and see if it'll add them in. I think my guess is that it might not, because it wants to pull up a demo of it, show you like what it looks like, and then see from that point. So let's go back here to the search MLS and let's try. So I'm going to do it. I'm going to try it here, comma separated. That's going to be our best bet. Let's see what happens. There we go. Great question. I think that was Heather there. So now it brings in all three of those. Okay. And then you have to go and just simply click on all those, but that will be some time saving as far as pulling them all in at once. Okay. Good question. We all learned something. All right. So we're going to go down here to continue. So we're good with those three. And then now it's going to give you a brief breakdown of a little summary, kind of giving you an idea, overview, which is kind of nice for you to look at yourself to make sure you have a good picture of what this house, what the comparables to the subject property looks like. So you have your subject property up here at the top, put a nice orange star here, so it identifies that for you. And it shows your three listings here. So you can get very detailed if you're someone who goes in and adds adjustments, positive or negative to the properties. You can click right here, name that adjustment like this. You can see here, new roof or swimming pool, and put the amount positive or negative that's going to add to that. Okay, so that's going to then change and adjust, and your clients would see that and it'd be visible for you on the presentation. You can go over here and check out the listing details of the property. You can edit the remarks. Again, remember, it's going to pull in the remarks from the agent that was in there. So you might want to check at that and make sure that's something that you want to show on there. It might be good for you to compare somebody that did not do good remarks and how you actually are going to describe their home for them. You're going to tell more of a story about their property. So it could be a good selling point showing your expertise. But I would kind of look at those ahead just to see, so you have a good understanding of what's going on. You can add more listings. And let's see here, I think you can then change the order of the listings. So from high to low, you can, ours are all sold, so that's not going to change it, but you can have, depending on how you go through them with your clients, like if you have actives, pendings, and solds, you can switch that order. We're going to talk about the competition first. Here's the under contracts, and then here's the sold, so you could switch that. You can do a lot of different things, distance from the property, days on market, depends on what you want to talk with your clients about. So that's pretty cool. So we have all of our subject properties, and we're going to continue on here. And this is where we're talking about pricing. And there's a couple of cool things in here that we can do. This is where it's giving you an estimated marketing price of this home. So this one's a little bit different because it knows that it just sold in January. It sold for $395. So it's probably letting you know, hey, it's only March. This is about that. And it's also comparing to the other comps that you have here. So it's breaking all these out for you. It's giving you some good data here. My recommendation is that we always give them a range, a price range that we want to do. And you're able to do that right in here by clicking on this price range button. And you can choose, you could do a variance of whatever you want for the price range. But let's just say, we're going to say this property anywhere from $385 to $405. I'm just kind of throwing random stuff out for this, but this is the way when we get to our pricing slides that it's going to show and present for your clients. If you want to make some remarks in here, either as a reminder for what you should say during this time, or some reasons why there's a range, just some talking points for you, but know that your clients, the remarks, I believe, will be visible to them on there. So this is really cool here. I think it's always important to discuss and talk about the estimated net proceeds, the net sheet for your clients. And this is when you're filling this out here. We click over here. This is a slide that we'll be able to have at the end of your presentation. If it's not something that you do during your presentation, you don't have to include this slide, but I want to make sure everybody knew that it was here for you. You could change the name to whatever you want to call it. You can go in here and put the estimated seller price, and it'll all populate in here. So if we go in and we'll say, sell at 400,000 and they owe 235, 324 is how much they still owe on it. We're going to go in here with our 6% for both 3 on each side. Some of the things that, we don't typically call it an escrow fee. So unfortunately, we can't change that. I was talking with Robin Marine on this, and what she does is she goes down here and does a custom cost where you can type that in. That is something that, from my knowledge right now, it doesn't save for your next presentation. So you would have to add those in each time. I mean, you could just explain what this is. You can put in, whatever you want. I actually found out recently from Chelsea with Shaheen Law Firm that they have a great calculator online that breaks out all their fees and actually puts in the taxes based on when it's going to close. So that was a really great tool that I was able to get from Chelsea. I don't have that link to share right now, but if you guys are interested in that, I can get you that link later. But you can go in here and an HOA fee. We can just kind of say we have a home warranty. Now, closing costs is something that, I know clients, sellers have started paying for those now. But in my practice, I've always liked to kind of share what the worst case scenario is. But you want to, depends on how you handle that. But if you wanted to talk about the potential of a 3% for closing costs, kind of giving them their worst case scenario, that's paid off for me when, when they do ask for those closing costs, we already had that discussion. And then letting them know when they see that number, hey, this includes the closing cost, that's just optional. So you can decide whether you want to include that or not. Anything else you want to have in here? We say inspections. Let's say we're on well and septic and we want to talk about the fact that they might have to pay for those. So, inspections could be upwards of $700, I would probably, we don't want to use administrative fee. We want to use base commission. So I would drop that in here. So they have that fee, $375. So we have all that in here. Okay, so it's pretty cool. Be as detailed as you want with this, and you can see here it's breaking it out for them. We sell at 400,000. The estimated seller costs are 273,899. So that's them paying off their mortgage included, and they'll walk away with 126,000. So being very clear, they're understanding exactly after all the fees where they end up with. So I think this is really cool. A great visual to be able to explain that to them. There are a lot of other ways to do this through like Excel charts and things like that, but this is going to be a very easy way to break it out for them. So we'll go ahead and save. And then we will go to continue. But before I move on, any questions on the pricing and adding that in, estimated pricing and the net sheet? Awesome. All right, so we'll go on to continue. And now we're getting into the fun stuff. At least I think it's fun. This is where we're going to actually get to choose the slides that you're going to want to use. We're going to look at those slides. We're going to see what it looks like, and we're going to kind of get an idea. And this is the part that I feel for you all, you need to spend several hours on creating your template, what fits for you, practicing on your spouse, practicing on your friend, practicing with your broker, another agent. So you're really comfortable with these so that each time when you go to do the listing presentation, it's not brand new. It's not the first time that you've looked at it. It's definitely not the first time when you're going through the slides with your client and you're like, I don't know what this slide is. Let's go to the next one. That's not going to come across as professional. If it's not a slide you want to talk about, you're easily able to, as you can see here, hit this little X and remove it. So this is the first starting off slide if you put that picture in there. I gave you another option in here of a seller cover slide that's more generic and you don't have a picture for it. This is kind of like our overall guiding you home one. I would not include both of these in there, in my opinion. You just want to have one cover slide. I like the cover page here since we have the photo of the actual home. We want it to be as personalized as possible. Okay, if we're selling a townhome and this is the picture that we're showing, it doesn't fit exactly that client. So I think, the best case, you can have a picture of it. If not, this is a great one. It's going to looks really professional. In this case, since we were able to pull it from the MLS, we're going to go with that cover page. You have an agent profile page here. I'll show you how you can make your own custom one too. And if you want to update this bio, this is something that you would, Matthew just recently created it. It's on Elite Scoop where you would fill out how to update your photo, your bio, your social stuff, and that goes to Marilyn, and she updates all that in Dash. A little sidebar, that is now how you update your profile on your company, on the company website too, through that form. But you can create a custom page here. I'm not going to go into Canva. I absolutely love Canva. I was just watching some really cool stuff that they have. But I would create like a Canva custom page for yourself. I haven't done that for mine yet. And then you can just drop that in here as your bio page is one way of doing it. There's also ways to create custom pages inside of MoxiPresent, and I'll show you guys that too. But just kind of going through here, just so you guys have an idea of what's included in the template that we have here. We have a CBE snapshot. This is one of the ones I was telling you, we will have the updated numbers in here for you soon. These numbers are not for 2023, but it doesn't say any years on here. So it's not like you can't use this right now. It's just not the exact numbers. We'll get those updated. And just going through and familiarizing yourselves with all the slides here. We have the rapid response, just showing that any leads that come through, those are going to be coming through to you quickly, and you're able to respond to those clients very quickly. Communication, I think this one's really important. Figuring out, sometimes we drop the ball on actually figuring out how the client wants to communicate, instead of us just communicating the way we want to communicate. So I think just having these conversations with them, finding out and letting them know, about digital signatures. This is where you might find out that this client does not want to do digital signatures, unfortunately, and they want to meet with you in person. So, but this is a good spot for you to do that. Confidentiality, just briefly letting them know that anything that they're telling you, is in confidence, and you're not going to share that information. You're not going to share information with the you're not allowed to other buyers or other agents, things like that. About you page, this is about the seller. So, one thing that's really important is that we're asking questions to the sellers, and we're finding out, sometimes it depends on where you're at and what you've done. Hopefully you've asked questions prior to the listing presentation so that you can kind of customize that presentation to fit what their needs are. But if you haven't, this is a time to do that. And as you're going through, maybe you're like, I always do this on the phone call before talking with them. I don't want this slide in here. You just exit out and it's gone. Okay. You can recover those slides by adding them back in. I'm not going to go and do that right now. So we have an online reviews one. This will be updated with testimonial tree icon here. Relocation services. This is something that's important. You don't have to be on the reload team in order to do this. You guys all have the ability to help clients, and it's something that you can share to help clients throughout the country. And this is a lot of times a very important conversation to have when we're selling a home, because a lot of times, especially in our area, people are moving out of the area and they don't know that we have connections, and we have connections to this amazing network that you can send out referrals. You can help them find agents in California. And also, the way you want to talk about this slide a little bit too, when you're during the listing presentation, is that, hey, I know a lot of people think that maybe someone that is going to be buying this house that lives in Fredericksburg, but since we're in such a transient area, we have military, we have DOD, we have contractors, we have connections from everybody moving all over the place, that we might be able to find buyers for you that are coming from all over the country and all over the world. So I think it's a great conversation piece for you to have with them. Also a great looking slide that was created a while ago, but I think this is something you should definitely include, and a great talking point for you in there. Digital advertising, that's super important, but talking about some of the things that we're going to be doing. It's very important as we go through these next few slides, that you're talking about all the tools that we provide here and that you have at CBE. This is where I was kind of going back in the beginning, where we kind of sometimes coast through the presentation. We think we've got it in the bag. We think the client's definitely going to work with us, and we just skip over all the awesome things that we're going to do for them and the reasons why we are earning that commission. So I think it's very important to, talk about this, familiarize yourself with digital advertising and what we're doing. Getting as customized as possible, talking about HomeSpotter, and that we're doing additional ads that are going out on Facebook, all over the internet, all that type of stuff that we're doing for them. Talk about that in detail. Talk about what you do on social media when you have a listing. that kind of stuff is really important, and we take it for granted because we're all in the industry and we hear it, and you guys, your managers are telling you about it, and I'm telling you about it, Matthew's telling you about it. But the clients don't know this stuff. They don't know what you're doing for them. But talking about how a simple post on Facebook can then get eyeballs on it from other agents, from other clients, and really talking about how you're getting it out there, how you're marketing it is very important. We have a telling your story slide. I'm just going to kind of jump through this, talking about really going into the details on these are the things that we're going to do for you. This is how we're going to advertise your property, and going through those. I think it's great, and I do this on my own personal one, is having examples of each and every one of these that you do. If you do and I'll show you right, I don't know if I have it included in here, but we're going to create one here. I'll do it right now. Show an example of your single listing website. So that is up here through Impress, and each of your listings can have a single listing website in Impress. Paradigm, which still exists right now, is kind of what that's taken over for. But show them an example of what that single listing website looks like. Talk about how you do target marketing and social media. Video distribution, which you should be doing if you have a video that you're creating for them. If you're using HD Bros, put a slide in here for that. And I'll show you guys how easy it is to create slides in here. And we will actually go ahead and create a video slide right now. So what you're going to do is you're going to go to Add Page up here in the top, just right here. I'm going to show you guys the library in a minute, but for this particular demonstration, we're going to create a new slide. And we're going to go, so just a sidebar to this, if you created your page in Canva that you want to bring in, a static page, so a flat page, you would just upload the PDF page. So it's going to bring it in for you. But they have a page builder inside of MoxiPresent. So we're going to click here on Build Page. And it gives you several layouts that you want to work with. Okay, so for this one, it's a video that I want to show them. So I want it to be as big and take up as much of the page as possible. So we're going to click on this one right here. I still think it's important to have a title. So I'm going to go over here, and my screen is kind of, I know the button's right here. Let's see if I can scroll over. I'm not sure why it's not showing. I don't know if you guys see it on your side, but I'm going to click this little button here. I want a title. So it starts off as 2 columns. So I'm just going to lower this down to 1 column, hit OK. And this is going to be text. It starts out really little. So you drop down this format button here and you decide how big you want the text. So I think I'm just going to go with large text, and we're going to call this listing video example. And down here, you can see that you have several options. You can do the text like we just did. You can do an image. You can do a video, which we're going to do, and then more, which gives you, oops, I should have gone back. So let me get back in there real quick. Go down. Redo that real quick here. Listing video example. And then we're going to click on video. So it's very simple. In order to share the video, so if you've used HD Bros, they're going to give you a video link, usually a YouTube link or Vimeo. Those are the two I recommend for you, using YouTube as much as possible. That's a great place to house all your videos. And I have a link over here. So I'm just going to copy that and paste it in. And then we're going to hit add, and you'll see here it's going to populate, and your YouTube video populates right in. It's going to be able to play live for the client right there on the spot. I would make sure this video, HD Bros does it. They're only a minute. You don't want to go in here and play a 5-minute listing video and you're just sitting there watching that with your clients. But 1 minute, I think, is powerful, showing them the type of marketing that you're going to do for them. So that's all set. So we're going to go up here, and in the top right, we're going to save. And you're going to name this slide whatever you want to name it. I'm just going to name it test, but you would name it because you're going to be able to use this exact slide every single time. Now, if you're getting more detailed and more custom, maybe you have a luxury listing video example, and you have a more standard home example. So you can, name these however you want and have a luxury listing presentation template and your normal listing presentation template. So I'm going to call this test video class. You can give it more of a description if you want. And then we're going to save. And now that's all saved. I'm going to X out of this. And now you can see this is dropped right into where we're at. So right under telling a story, now I have the video listing here, and you can test it and see plays for you. We're going to look at what it looks like live here in just a little bit, but very easy, very simple way. And you can do a variety of other things with that custom pages. Let's just jump in here real quick. And so this one's a really cool one right here, where I think you could bring in examples of listing photos that you provide, that you're going to be doing. And you have 4 great photos here. I think anytime you can make things custom to things that you've already used in the past is great. If not, you could use, you could use stock photos if you've never had a listing before. And then as soon as you get that first listing, you start putting your stuff in there, because you're going to be able to talk about it more passionately, more, oh, you'll be able to talk about a particular patio or backyard that was beautiful. And you're like, when I walked out here, I knew this is something, tell the story about the photos. That's going to really play out well with your clients. The more personalized it can be, I guess is what I'm getting at. If you haven't done a listing before, then, it can be a little bit more stock to start, but start to kind of make it more custom as you go. Because the cool thing is then all the work that you put into any of these, they're going to be all ready for you to use in the future. Any questions on the custom pages at all? Okay, awesome. No questions. So let's see here. Yes, I don't want to save that. All right, let's see here. Okay, so we have some other built-in slides here. I do want to show you this awesome library of slides that we have for you, though. So let's do the other type of adding the pages. Okay, so some of you might not want to create a custom page, or that's just not your thing. That's perfectly fine. We're going to add from library. So within the library, you have your My Pages, okay, which are going to be pages that you have created on your own. Okay, so I have some other ones that I've created in here. I did a home spotter boost example, just whatever you want to put in here, home brochure example page. You're going to have your brokerage pages, which are going to be CBE pages that we have created for you. And then this is where the really cool library is. It's outside of the ones that we've created, is the Coldwell Banker corporate library. There's 153 different slides in here. So most specific to us today, talking about seller presentations, they have 36 seller presentations in here. They even have Spanish slides in here if you're working with a Spanish speaking client and you speak Spanish. I know we have a couple of Spanish speakers in the room today, so that stuff's all ready for you to be able to use. But let's jump in here and take a look at the seller slides. There's a few of them that I think are really cool that I would incorporate. Let's see here. The global reach one I thought was a cool one, kind of going in that same relocation one we talked about before. But maybe you are working with a really high-end home, and we could be getting buyers from all over the world. This is a great talking point, for that. Let's see here. This one was a great visual one. If you're talking about 360-degree property marketing, all the things that you're going to do, it might be a good way for you to visually see and talk about the things that you're doing. So this is a great slide. What are some of the other ones in here? Oh, so here's a good, so photography, if you don't have, like I was giving you an example, if you don't have your own listing photos to share, this is a great photography slide that they've done showing, the type of images that you're going to be doing for their property. Okay, it is showing some, one thing you sometimes want to think about, this is all very high-end property. So, if you're not doing a listing presentation on a really high-end property, it might be something to consider, but just something to think about. But I think talking about how important photography is, that you're going to be using a professional photographer, or you take professional photos yourself, is very, very important when it comes to that. And showing them examples, I think, is really important. There's some other ones that I think are great. This one, now a lot of times, we're competing brand to brand to other companies that you might be competing with in listing presentations. So this one here talking about Coldwell Banker being the #1 most visited residential real estate brand online, talking about how their home is going to be seen by more people because there's more people visiting the company site. I think that's a good one here. It's a very visual slide showing them how many more people are doing that. Okay, so again, you're not going to use all these. Okay, you're going to figure out and find and choose which ones. I just want to show you guys some examples of all the really awesome possibilities and opportunities we have here, and just kind of go through here, pick out ones that you think are going to fit best for you. I'm trying to see if there's any others that I remember really liking. I think those are the main ones that jumped out at me. But just go through here and figure out what fits for you and what works. And all you would do, let's say that I want to add in the online #1. So I just hit add. Okay, so now we're going to go back to our pages. And we can see now right under our video slide, we have dropped in this one. So it's super simple. You hit the plus in there. And then all these, let's say like I wanted to talk about this one a little bit higher up here, maybe right before our relocation services. You can adjust and move all these around very easily. Okay, so like let's say telling your story, you want to ask the seller the questions right off the bat before you get into anything. So we're going to put that up there right under the cover page if that's what you wanted to do. So you have the ability to order these however you would like as you're going through it. Okay. And I don't want to forget this part because I was afraid I was going to forget it before. I'm still have some more to go through, but this is really important here. The save as template. So you spent this time that I keep referencing, you curated, you cultivated, you have the perfect template, which is always going to change for you in the future, but maybe it's just changing a slide here or there. You just click on save as template. You're going to title it. Okay, I'm just going to call this class test template. And you can see down here, all your templates are already going to be in here. So listing presentation template that I had created for my own personal stuff, an AMP test. So all your templates are going to show right there. And you can also label what type of template this is. Okay, so is it a buyer tour, property review, non-listing? What is it? Save it. And it is all good to go. Okay. So those are all the slides that you can customize. I want to jump in here and show you so now you've gone through, you've done your marketing process, and it depends on the order in which you do things. Maybe you do your CMA first before you do the marketing. Well, we're kind of getting into the CMA section. Okay. So we've gone through all of our marketing and about us slides. So let's talk about the property slides. And this is really, really cool. So remember, you're going to have this information for them live on the spot via either your laptop. And I wanted to show you just real quickly here that it works really well on, you probably can't see that too well. I just want to give you an example. This is just on the iPad here. This is the way that I would display it. And you can just kind of touch the screen and it's going to go through all the slides, and you have a very nice filter for you to be able, you can't see that, but wanted to show you that you don't have to just be doing this on a laptop. It can be done, it doesn't have to be an iPad, but any type of tablet. I like the touch feel of it when I'm there with a client, being able to tap the screen, especially when we get to this section that I'm showing you here. So this is kind of where you'd be reviewing, kind of going over with a client, like making sure all this information is correct and there isn't any errors or changes that need to be made, just kind of quickly going through that. This is where I showed you the remarks jump out really boldly right here. So if this wasn't my listing, I would not leave these remarks in here. You might do the remarks, a sample of the remarks that you might be putting in, or just delete that out altogether. That's a decision you'll need to make on that. So that's the property summary one. And then we have some really cool stuff. This is all interactive, okay? So you're able to just touch and go as you're looking at it, but this is giving them a quick map for your visual clients that want to see, okay, here's the 3 comps, here's your home. These are all within Idlewild, kind of giving that visual. If you had an oddball one that was further away, then you might want to, this is a good time to talk about why you felt to pull that one in, why that's a good comp. Everything is clickable, okay? So I can click, let's see, maybe it's not from this page. I say that, but let's go in here. I don't, this one isn't clicking from this page, but it is from the listing overview. So we have, these are the three we have all the solds. If you had actives, it's going to show active, it's going to show pending, and then you're going to go through what order you want to go through. Okay, so we're going to start with this one. We click on it. It's actually pulling the map in the background. It's pulling the property up here. I like to be able to, you know, when you're talking with your client and you're in the house, you've walked through the house, this is a great time to be able to go through and show them the various images and how they compare to the home that you're sitting in right now. Be like, I know this property sold for more. Let's see here. But this is because you can show them pictures of the decked out kitchen that that particular property has, or, oh, this kitchen wasn't that great, you know. It's just really cool to be able to show them a visual of that as you're going through it. So let's see here, we'll go back. So you just go back and then you're kind of looking here. You can say, well, this, you know, your property has 2,200 square feet and this one is 2,340. So it's a little bit bigger. You know, you usually compare bedrooms and bathrooms. So now we can go to the second comparable and go through showing them all the different photos. Just really cool when you're actually there, just being able to touch it and go through the properties. So I think that's great. And there's a variety of ways. So you're going to not want to use all these slides I'm showing you. You're going to pick which one feels best for you, because you can see this next one, that I think is pretty cool, is a side-by-side comparison of those properties. Very visual, easily able to scroll down and, you know, see. You can also click on the particular property and it'll take you, just like we saw before, into that next screen. I actually really like this one. I think it's really great to be able to compare. You have your subject property over here to the left and kind of scrolling down and going through and talking through the highlights. You're not going to go through line by line with the clients, but just the particular things that you think are worth noting and talking about. You know, like, why was this property $379,900 and this one was $400, and maybe the differences. And that's where you kind of showing them the pictures. And, well, this one started off at a really high price point and was on the market for 90 days and they end up having to, you know, this is where you kind of go through and talk about all that stuff with them. So I really like, this is probably my favorite as far as the way to display them. So you wouldn't necessarily want to have the previous slide also. And you could, the other thing you can do is you can have those slides there and then kind of get a feel for your clients as you're going through the presentation and just skip on to the next one. You don't have to show them each and every one of them. This one here is going to be a status comparison slide. Oh, it's up to the top. So that's going to go through and show if we had other ones sold, actives, pendings. Let's see here, listing averages. So again, depends on your client. If you have a very analytical client, you know, getting in and talking about all the numbers and the details, that might be really important. This is the low price, your average pricing, the median, kind of really getting into statistics on the different properties that you have. Price and days on the market. So you want to make sure you can analyze these charts and understand how to interpret them and explain them to them. So you want to kind of look at them ahead of time instead of getting into it. And if you're like, I'm not going to talk about that, or I don't like this slide, hit X and it's gone. And you don't have to. And so this is cool. You'll really want to decide which one of these you like to talk about. And then once you X them out, then you would save that template again, and then it's all set. Okay, so anytime you change a template, you would just hit save as template and go to that same template and update it. Price and size. So that's going to be another kind of dot graph here. And of course, the more comps you have, the more details there's going to be in some of these slides. It's going to make more sense. Right, so let's say I don't like this one either and take that one out. We'll go to the pricing analysis. Okay, so this breaks down. Remember in the beginning, we put in a price range. Okay, so this is where you're going to get to all the clients care about. How much are you going to sell their house for? So I think, you know, this is a great slide. It's reminding them it has their picture of the house in the background, but this is the range that you put in, and talking to them about the range. Maybe you're someone, you don't have to do the range. If you're someone who likes to give them exact price, then that's perfectly fine. So we have that here. Then it talks about the pricing stats and, you know, where that came from. It gives you the average price per square foot based on the comparable properties. So it gives you some great talking points to go over the clients with. And then we have our net proceeds. So this is the slide where you went in and put in all your data and put in all of your information for them. And you know, they want to know what it sells for, but they really want to know how much money they're going to get back at the end of the day. So I think it's just really, now, maybe if you know a conversation that they're going to be in the red, maybe you're not highlighting it like this, but it's something you're going to have to talk about it at some point. So, you know, it's an important conversation to have, as opposed to just hiding it and then having a fight or upset clients later on. So whatever it is, I think it's more valuable to talk about it at that point. They should probably have a pretty good idea of the situation there. And if not, then, you know, they're going to learn that. So you're kind of, I do recommend kind of going through this line by line with them, especially if you put in something like closing costs and they're like, what do you mean closing costs? You know, it's a good talking point. It's a good thing to say, hey, well, this is just a possibility. And if that's not the case, then you're at 138,000. One thing you can't do, just so you know, you can't really adjust these numbers live. You would have to go back into that beginning slide and change that, which you could do, but that's going to be pretty clunky to do on the spot with your clients. So just keeping that in mind as you're going through it. But I think this is a great visual and something that we haven't really had in the past to be able to do that. Let's see here. That is the quick run through of everything. I want to see what questions you guys have on MoxiPresent, things that you would like to know how to do. What do you guys think? What questions do you guys have? I know we have to have some questions. Nobody? Deb, does your group have any questions?
New office information as well.
Hey, Jay,
Yeah.
we have a question in here as an ETA to have the slide updated for CBX, removing CBX off of there, as well as updating
Updating the number of offices and agents.
updating our office number, as well as number of agents, production, et cetera. That one I know Matthew has been recently working
I was
on.
gonna say those are all, that's a Matthew question with the marketing with him. So if you want to reach out to him, I don't have an ETA from him on that. So I was told they're working on them.
I know they're working on it, but I'll ask Matthew.
Okay. Yeah. I know Matthew and the marketing team are working on that. So, because yeah, I do know those do need to get updated, and they are currently working on those. Yeah, so a question, a lot like Cloud CMA, how is it different? It is the same type of tool as a Cloud CMA. I don't have a time frame on that. I will let you know the Cloud CMA will be going away. So this will be the product that is replacing that. So I like, it is very similar. I personally like it better than Cloud CMA. I just like how it flows. I like when I've done it live with a client, the few times that I've done that, I really like how it feels, being able to go through the slides, interacting with these here, which is similar to Cloud CMA. But very similar, but it is going to be what replaces that. And the nice thing is that it's all tied in together with all the other Moxie products for you. So I think that's nice. It's all in this one hub for you. We're not having to jump from app to app. That is one big benefit of it. But overall, it is a very similar tool to Cloud CMA. The one Vera brought it up earlier, that the one negative compared to that I see is you can't automatically import those in there. But I think we're really talking about just a few copy and paste to be able to get that information in there. So I think that's probably the only difference there. Another question here. Is it possible to download the presentation for offline viewing for web view, or is it only available for PDF format? So that's a good question. And as a backup plan to it only being online. So like I said, I recommend you print off a copy so that you have that there, but you can download it. And I might have to let me see here. if I can remember how to do it. Print view, landscape. Okay, so I don't know if you guys saw that. So I went over here to print view and I switched it to landscape. You could do portrait, but you're gonna need to have portrait slides. There is a section of those, but for a landscape, and you would go to print, and what you would do is you now have a PDF that you've generated. If you're really trying to get, you know, elaborate with a thorough backup, and you can download that, and then you could import those into a PowerPoint or something like that so that you have an offline version of it. There are some extra steps to doing that, but that would be kind of your safe backup. And the only reasons that, I mean, I guess so if you don't have a hotspot and you don't have any way, you don't want to go into the house and try and connect to the client's Wi-Fi. You're not going to want to go through, that's going to be very clunky for that. So if you don't have a hotspot, that might be the route that you'll want to download those and upload them into a PowerPoint or however you would normally do your presentation. But if you do have a way, you know, which most of us do now, having a hotspot, then I would just, unless you were going out to a rural area where you weren't sure about the signal, the few that I've done, I haven't had any issues with any speed or anything. What I do, and actually I haven't tested this, you might want to try this, is I pull it up on the iPad at home and you kind of go through the slides, because what that's doing, it's remembering it and it creates the cache in there, which makes it much faster when you're there. It might actually work if you go through it all. It might be saved there if it's offline. I haven't tested that yet, but that would be the way to do it though. Download it all in a PDF format. And then I think I've done this before. You can upload that whole PDF directly into PowerPoint or Google Slides or Keynote or any of those. Good question. What other questions do you guys have? And keeping in mind, I didn't really show this. I don't know how, when you go to add a custom page, you can, so we have the benefit of Canva. You guys might use other tools, but most of you use Canva, of creating any slide that you want. Doesn't have to be what I showed you today. It could be totally custom from a slide on there. All you would do is there's two ways you can save it and two ways you can upload it. You can upload it as a PNG or JPEG or as a PDF into MoxiPresent. So you would just create that page in Canva, whatever it is, and then you would have that custom page for you in here. So it can really be, that's the cool thing that I like about this, is that you have the ability to start from our template and then create and make your own template with your own pages that you can pull in from other sources. And I know that takes some time, but again, you don't have to do it over and over again, because then it's saved moving forward. So yeah, I will tell you down here in the bottom, if you guys haven't used the help with Moxie on all the different products, you can get a live person on there for chatting, and they have tutorials and walkthroughs on all the various things that we've talked about, and even way more than that. But I wanted to give you guys the basics, how to create your presentation, how to customize it. And, you know, I think it really, once you get in there and just have it cultivated, that you're practicing it, and then you guys are ready to go for your live presentations. I think it's going to be a great tool for you guys to help win more listings. So if there's not any more questions, I'll hang out for a few more minutes if anybody wants to stay on for questions, but I really appreciate your all's time, and you guys have a great afternoon. I'll talk with you soon.